guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this very entertaining article titled, Why It's Hard to Date Women Over 40. We know who we are, and we know our worth. Grab a beer and some popcorn, guys, because we're going to have fun with this. So guys, yes, this article is written by a woman, and she's in her 40s. In fact, I believe she's 45. And she's going to go through this whole thing explaining why it's so difficult to date a woman in their 40s. And of course, makes the point of saying we know who we are and we know our worth. How many times have you heard that one? I don't think there's a guy watching this video, I don't care where you are on the planet right now, that isn't acquainted with some lady who is maybe a member of your family, a coworker, an acquaintance, maybe a friend, business partner, somebody you do business with, whatever, that is in this situation where their entire life has just been one dude after the other, and no matter what, there aren't enough good enough guys out there. And the older that they get, the longer their list of demands, and I want to emphasize demands, not wants and needs, demands increases. And these are the types that get to the point of this age and say, you know what? I don't care if I'm alone. I know what I want. I know what I'm worth. Blah, blah, blah. And pretty much insulting guys, making out to be that pretty much we're all worthless, that there aren't any good guys out there, they don't have any qualities and all that, which is complete and total nonsense, because believe me, there are plenty of good dudes out there. It's just that thanks to decades of the movement, you know what I mean by that, and advertisements like You're Worth It, and the bombardment of attention from dudes from social media and dating apps, and I have to blame some guys that probably watch this for that, the egos and levels of narcissism have gone through the roof. And so every gal thinks they're entitled to a CEO who's worth billions, private jet, yacht, and if he doesn't have those things, amongst many other, well, no good men out there. It's ridiculous. And how many of you guys have been burned by gals like this in your 20s and your 30s, even now? And so I thought it'd be a good one to go over here just to show you how things are today. It's not that many of you guys don't know this, but these are always entertaining and just a reminder. And again, it's no wonder so many dudes are just like, I'm done. I'm tired of this. It's just ridiculous. And these same gals are going to be alone. And again, I know women like this. And they're good-looking women. And let me tell you, I know good-looking women in their 40s. They take care of themselves. They look great. But in terms of the whole I know what I'm worth thing, really? Because if you really were worth a lot, you wouldn't be alone. It's because you're so picky. And, come on here. And again, you can have darn good-looking gals in their 40s, but they're not going to compare to girls in their 20s. It is what it is. And especially if they have this attitude and level of entitlement. So, I will start here. It says, there's something I've learned about myself in my 40s. It is very hard for men to date me, to fall for me, to love me. Well, maybe because you're too picky. Maybe, or rephrase it, demanding. And you have issues that turn guys off. Is that a possibility? You see, I'm no longer the desperate young woman of my past who was hoping to fast-track her dreams of becoming a young wife and mother. I also no longer that desperate, almost middle-aged. It is too late, guys. The days of young wife and mother are long gone. The days of squeezing in a geriatric pregnancy are over. And here is the big problem. I am happy with myself and my life. And she made sure to put that in bold. Look, you wouldn't be writing this if you truly were happy. If you were truly happy with yourself and your life, you wouldn't feel the need to make sure everybody knew it and remind everybody of these things. Come on here. I have made a peace with the way it has unfolded. I'm not desperately hoping for a last-minute intervention or desperately searching for someone to fulfill a hole in my heart from my youth. To put it simply, I'm not desperate. Not being desperate, I found, is super inconvenient for what seems to be a large number of men on the dating market. Everyone says desperate women are exceedingly unattractive, but that's a myth, so far as I can see. My experience has been that self-possessed women who don't feel a pressing need to change the circumstances of their lives are the ones who these men find hard to date. You mean the types that are my way or the highway, ball busting, have a laundry list of things they want in a guy. Of course, guys aren't going to want to date gals like that because it's too much work. There's no fun involved. And at the end of the day, when you're if you're a guy that's into relationships and dating, and you're a busy guy on your purpose and doing well for yourself, and you only have just a small amount of time per week to actually see your girlfriend or date women, Are you going to want to spend your time with someone that has no sense of humor, has a giant stick up their butt the size of a telephone pole, has a laundry list of demands, is my way or the highway, is ball busting, etc., etc.? No way. You're not going to give them the time of day, especially when you're a catch and you can date plenty of different women. Why would you give these types of time of day? But it's interesting how a lot of gals, as they get older, become just like this. And again, you hear articles like this. She says, you see, a woman like me knows what she's looking for when it comes to dating. I might not have all the details worked out. For instance, I don't know what kind of container I want. She says marriage, monogamous partnership, deeply connected lover, etc. But I know exactly what I want to put in the container. Whether it's with a man or a woman or anything beyond or in between, I want intellectual and creative stimulation. I want mental, emotional, and spiritual sparks. I want someone who opens my mind and soul. I want someone who goes deep into the boundless depths of the universe as we are both willing to go. Sound like any of you guys out there? If so, let me know. I want someone who is overflowing with S-word energy and who wants to use that energy in creative and unusual ways. Someone who is hungry to use their S-word energy as a portal to greater understandings of self, of other, of love, of the world. You do realize you're in your 40s, and you're going to get that overwhelming tidal wave, or whatever you want to call it, of S-word energy from dudes. That's usually more for the gals in the 20s. Again, maybe she's smoking hot for her 40s. I don't know. There are smoking hot women in their 40s, for their 40s. But come on here. I want someone who will argue with me, who will challenge me and demand my accountability, who will take my challenges seriously and remain committed to their own accountability. Translation, I want someone who will argue with me. Translation, I want someone that actually will be a challenge. I want someone that is not going to be a pushover or doormat. Sound familiar? Who will challenge me and demand my accountability. Translation, who will call her on her crap. Who will take my challenges seriously and remain committed to their own accountability. Translation, I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you all the time and see if you can handle me. No thanks. There are too many guys out there that have options that don't need this crap. Who's going to have to constantly push her buttons and give her a challenge and argue with her and all this drama, because that's what she wants is drama, and will easily deflect all her tests and challenges that she's going to throw at the guy. No thanks. I want someone who will see me as a treasure. Not something to covet, but something to cherish for as long as we are given time together. Someone who will hold, love, and protect my heart above all. A treasure. So not only do we have a gal here with a laundry list of just ridiculous demands, but also who's a bit of an ego. Look, I got no problem somebody valuing themselves per se, but there's another thing when they have a giant ego the size of Australia here. I think, guys, because I've read this obviously before I'm doing this video, that she's probably been someone that obviously all through her life has always been like, next guy. I'm so valuable. I'm so high value. I'm entitled to literally a dude that doesn't exist. And now I'm in my 40s, and it's my fault. So I'm just going to make my list of demands so impossible that I can say at the end of the day, it's not because they rejected me, it's because I rejected them. And I also think she's probably been burned a lot of times. That's my guess. I could be totally wrong here. But when you do enough of these things, guys, you can start to connect the dots. And of course, living and seeing real life situations. She says, that might be a long list, but really, it's quite simple to me. I know what I want. And yet, you're still alone. But that's only half the story. We've heard enough, believe me, but she goes on. There are two ingredients in the making of a woman who is difficult to date. One is her knowledge of herself and her desires. Check. The second is that she knows her worth. Really? Enlighten me. Women in this culture are sent into the dating pool at a great disadvantage. No, they're not. Women have it made in the dating pool. Come on here. An average girl can get dudes hitting them up left and right. Come on here. We are taught over and over again to undervalue ourselves in the workplace, in friendships, and most especially in romantic relationships. We're taught that our expectations are too high. We want too much. We're made to believe that vocalizing our standards makes us nags and harpies. We're too emotional. We're irrational and illogical. Really? Our perspectives and reactions have to be tempered with by the acknowledgement of our, periods. And you know how I feel about that. I actually don't know how you feel about that, and I don't want to hear how you feel about that particular subject. Thank you. We are regularly undermined and gaslit when it comes to romantic relationships, and that happens even with a partner who has the best of intentions, and even within ourselves. Yes, we are taught to undermine and gaslight ourselves. How many dudes out there have been gaslit by their girlfriend or wives or fiancés or girls that dated? Come on here. We've seen our mothers settle for relationships that leaves them feeling empty and unfulfilled. So you're saying your dad was a loser? Is that what you're trying to say? And your grandpa and your godfather and all that? We see aunts and grandmothers silently look away when their husbands stepped out with other women, dutifully enduring the pain and humiliation. What kind of family do you come from? Your mom, your grandma, your aunts all had their husbands cheat on them? What family is this? Because last time I checked, this doesn't happen very much. Is it impossible? Of course not. It does happen, but not to the grand scale that she's kind of, hinting at here. We've been taught how to behave in order to be a quote-unquote good wife. We've been taught that the emotional labor of a romantic relationship falls on our responsibility. And perhaps most heinously, we've been taught that it's okay to build a relationship with someone who is fundamentally wrong for us, because it's our job to help him grow into a better person, right? Nobody should be settling and being in a marriage or serious relationship with someone that is fundamentally wrong for them, that has major issues. But the problem is these types like her have these giant lists of demands that, come on here. I get deal breakers. Religion can be a deal breaker. I totally get that. Healthy lifestyle, like say you're someone that's really into fitness and exercise, eating healthy. You want someone that's like you. And here comes the fire truck. You're going to hear a lot of sirens now. They're coming roaring past me here. I can't escape the sirens wherever I go. Notice this, guys. I'm just going to let this dude pass by and continue on my conversation. You'll see him coming. Here he comes. I salute the firefighters. Over time, a woman starts to focus on getting to know her soul instead of looking for her soulmate. That's called being in your 40s and alone with your cat. And when that happens, major shifts begin to happen. She suddenly realizes she isn't okay with endearing, silent betrayals. She isn't okay with a barely satisfying partnership. She doesn't want to fold all the laundry, cook all the meals, and carry both her own and her partner's emotional weight. Guess what? It's 2021, almost 2022. Plenty of dudes I know cook their own meals, do their own laundry, do their own dishes, can do all that stuff no problem. We may not like it, but we can do it. And here comes another fire truck. What in the... I can't escape this shit wherever I go. I can go to the middle of freaking nowhere, and there'll be sirens somewhere. Anyway. And most of all, she realizes she isn't here to fix anyone, nor are her male partners broken in the first place. Well, I got no problem that you shouldn't go into a relationship with the idea of having to fix somebody. I'm fine with that part. With this all comes a new understanding of herself and her worth in the world. She realizes what she brings to a partnership. She realized that the messages of her inherent unworthiness are all wrong from the very beginning. She's Sleeping Beauty, except she doesn't need a prince to wake her up with a kiss. I knew she was going to say that the second I saw the Sleeping Beauty part. She learns how to wake up all on her own, look around the dusty old tower and say, F this, I'm going back to the cottage in the woods and have a glass of wine. Probably box wine. My 40s have brought me clarity on these two issues. I know what I want in a partnership, and I know my own worth. Well, again, define the worth. 2 master's degrees, $120,000 a year, $450,000 in the bank. These are all great, but guess what? That's not going to make a guy's you-know-what get hard, okay? Are you feminine? Are you girly? Are you fun to be around? Are you supportive? Are you loyal? Are you drama-free? Do you take care of yourself? Are you pretty? Do you have a good body? These are things that, for a guy on the dating market, are worth. Goes on. I'm no longer willing to compromise on what I want and settle for a lukewarm love that positions me, the woman, as secondary. And I'm no longer willing to let a partner convince me that I don't deserve their love and respect. Look, I got no problem you not wanting to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't respect you. Okay, that's fine. But you're taking this to a whole new level, lady. My experience has been that many men don't like this. I'm the woman, after all. I'm supposed to smile and wait patiently when a man suddenly stops texting or calling for days or weeks at a time until he's ready to reprioritize me. Of course, now the sun comes out and is blocking me here. I'm supposed to remain silent when a boundary has been breached and not inconvenience him by bringing the violation to his attention. I'm supposed to fit my schedule around his work and family obligations. I'm supposed to laugh when he teases me about being overly emotional and to diminish my own accomplishments because my work is just art. Overly emotional. So, in other words, she has absolutely no sense of humor. Again, a stick up her butt the size of a telephone pole. Can't take a joke. Of course you're going to be teased about being overly emotional because look at this whole article here. Come on here. In other words, I'm supposed to make him feel good and make his life easier without having any such expectation of him doing that for me. Come on here. Who are the guys you've gone out with? Really? Have you been picking Chad and Tyrone and therefore you've had a lot of bad experiences? Because I assure you, most dudes out there aren't bad the way you're describing it here. I know they are annoyed with me. I know that they think I'm haughty and unreasonable. Unreasonable? I know they're punishing me for stepping out of line. I'm 45, childless, and never been married. They thought I'd be desperate enough to do whatever it took to keep their attention, but they got me all wrong. I know what I want, and I know who I am. If my dating profile was still active, that's what I put at the top. Maybe that would scare away the type of man who would mistake me as an easy-to-manipulate, desperate gal who would put up with any shit. You see, I won't sit around for hours waiting for a man to get off a business call when he already have made other plans. I'm not going to put up with a man teasing me about my work and my emotional depth. Second time she mentioned that. And I most definitely will not tolerate lies or a suspicious lack of transparency. She obviously had been choosing the wrong guys. It's the age-old story. And now all guys are like this, what she describes here. It's nonsense. When I put these boundaries down, the guys in question react with shock or anger. Well, can you blame them? Apparently, I'm supposed to feel lucky to have their attention. I'm supposed to be willing to put up with whatever they have to hand out. If a guy is truly being a jerk to you, of course you don't have to put up with that. But come on here. But sorry, guys, I know what a effing amazing partner I am. Oh, really? I know how much I bring to the table. I am a diamond, and I will not allow men to treat me like some random sedimentary rock. More sirens. This is going to be a joke. Am I being punked here? Is Ashton Kutcher in the bushes over here? He's going to jump out and say, ha ha, SSM. I've been putting all these sirens and cops and fire trucks by you just to mess with you. I'm not afraid to say goodbye. It might hurt for a moment if my feelings got involved. But believe me, I'd rather be alone and settle for someone who can't offer me what I'm looking for and who treats me poorly. But you go into this situation with the attitude that guys are going to treat you poorly. You create your own environment here. Instead of changing, instead of begging, instead of settling, I'll instead walk him to the door or walk with him to the door if he's already leaving and see him out with a smile. I have things to do after all, and I can't afford to be distracted by cheap performances. I want the real deal or nothing at all. What you want doesn't exist. And a woman like this is indeed the hardest kind to date. There's nothing a relationship holds for me that would be worth giving up my needs and my sense of worth at this point in life. Perhaps Jane Eyre said it best. Here's the quote from Jane. I can live alone if self-respect and circumstances require me to do so. I need not sell my soul to buy bliss. I have an inward treasure born with me, which can keep me alive if all extraneous delights should be withheld or offered only at a price I cannot afford to give. Yeah, well, Jane was probably alone too. So, anyhow, guys, welcome to 2021. Welcome to how things are nowadays. And again, I know gals in their 40s that have this attitude and they are alone and miserable. So there's no way she'd write this thing, take the time to do this and go on this psychotic rant and she was happy. But again, this is how things are today. And is it a wonder so many dudes are just simply done with dating? Anyhow, guys, that is it for today. I'm going to put this to an abrupt end because I'm sick and tired of the sun melting my face here and the never-ending parade of sirens. Thank you for bearing with me. Looks like I got to change spots. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.